Yeah, another judge has been found dead. Pretty strange considering that judges don't just turn up dead. But we've had a couple of judges turn up dead in the last couple of days, last few days. It goes like this, y'all. A groundbreaking African-American jurist who became the first Muslim woman to serve as a U.S. judge was found dead in New York's Hudson River on Wednesday, police said. Sheila Abdus-Salam, a 65-year-old associate judge of New York's highest court, was found floating off Manhattan's west side on Wednesday afternoon, a day after she was reported missing, a police spokesman said. Police pulled Abdus-Salam's fully clothed body from the water and she was pronounced dead at the scene. Police said her body showed no obvious signs of trauma, and they declined to speculate on the cause of death. Her family identified her, and an autopsy would determine the cause of death, the spokesperson said. Abdus-Salam, a native of Washington, D.C., became the first African-American woman appointed to the Court of Appeals when Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo named her to the state's highest court in 2013. Justice Sheila Abdus-Salam was a trailblazing jurist whose life in public service was in pursuit of a more fair and just New York for all, Mr. Cuomo stated. As the first African-American woman to be appointed to the state's Court of Appeals, she was a pioneer, he added. Through her writings, her wisdom, and her unshakable moral compass, she was a force for good whose legacy will be felt for years to come. Deeply saddened by the tragic passing of Sheila Abdus-Salam, she was a humble pioneer. My thoughts are with the family, said Bill de Blasio, the New York's mayor. He said this on his Twitter feed. The Princeton Encyclopedia of American Political History said Abdus-Salam was the first female Muslim to serve as a judge. The Reverend James Moore, 65, who lives next door, described Abdus-Salam as a lovely person. The medical examiner will determine the cause of death and the investigation is ongoing, the police said. Now, I wanted to do a little research on this before I reported this, and I do research on all of my reports, but I really wanted to get into this, and I was scouring the net trying to read different stories and see how they was covering this. So I came across this article in the New York Post. Now, y'all know the New York Post ain't never been worth the paper it was written on, like Chuck D said. And they love to go in, particularly on people of color, anytime they get an opportunity to. But in this situation, they were untraditionally, how can I say it? I guess a little not too interested in the facts. This is what they had to say. They said that they only covered the part about her drowning and they left it at that on the surface. Normally, New York Post is trying to dig and they're trying to uncover things and they're trying to make things appear that's not there. They're always digging. But they didn't dig on this. And it got me to thinking, why aren't the New York Post, why isn't the New York Post trying to dig on this? All they said was that, she is suspected of suicide. They just covered the death. They didn't try to dig and find out the reason. They didn't suspect. They didn't do any like insinuating and all this stuff like they normally do. So it got me to thinking. I don't think it was a suicide at all. Because this judge had a penchant for going after New York police unions. She had a reputation, and she never held back. And also, another judge was murdered, like I said a few days ago. Coincidentally, these are 2 black judges. We ain't got that many black judges out there, period. But 2 black judges in a matter of 2-3 days, man, don't just because somebody say this what happened, just because the news, y'all should know by now. Just because the news say it happened doesn't mean it really happened the way they say it happened. The news people, especially mainstream media, man, they in cahoots with the police, they in cahoots with the government. And they have an agenda, and all of them stick to code. They all roll together. You can't even get a news story covered unless somebody in the police force tell you that this is what's going on. This happened. Come on out to the scene. We got a body. We just found a body in the lake, and here come the news. Bam. You see the police, then you see the news. See the police, then you see the news. So they all in cahoots, man. So I don't believe them. Based on the history of the New York Post, I don't believe that they sincerely just wanted to just say, hey, this was a great judge and she'll be missed. I think it's something far more cynical going on out here. I can't quite put my hands on it, but something's going on. Something is up. I don't think this was a suicide at all. New York Post, they want to concentrate on this judge's achievements. That's what they're doing. They're concentrating on the achievements. But they're not saying anything about her death. They just said she died and that's it. I'm just saying, normally that's what the media should do. Just report the facts, right? Normally. But this is, I'm saying for this particular paper, New York Post, they're not built like that. They're always digging and looking for something else and saying it's something else. Especially when it's somebody of color. So I don't believe them. I don't trust them. I think it's more than a coincidence that we have 2 judges that have been found dead in the last 2 or 3 days. I think it's more than a coincidence. I'm suspecting murder in both cases. Well, we know for a fact the first case was murder, but I don't think that first case with the judge being murdered in Chicago was a random act. I think it was a hit. I don't think it was a random act at all. I think they got a hit, and I think if you got a family member that's a judge, especially a black judge, I say tell them to watch their back, because that's just too much of a coincidence. This woman was highly skilled, accomplished, responsible, and I heard somebody saying that she had some type of history of mental illness. I don't believe that shit. Man, anybody can say something like that. Anybody can throw a monkey wrench in the program and say something like that and throw everybody off. They try to say the same thing about Sandra Bland. They tried to say that's the reason why she killed herself. As soon as they threw that mud out there, they just throw the mud and see what sticks. Oh, let's just say she had a history of mental illness, so she tried to kill herself once, so that means she was crazy. That means she tried to kill herself once, so that means she could try to kill herself again. No, you got to consider what state of mind a person in at the time of death. You got to consider the circumstances surrounding the death. You have to think about what this person has going on in their life more immediately, what's going on. You have to think about those type of things. And Sandra Bland, if you watch the interviews that she did or the videos that she had dropped leading up to her death, she was not in no mood to be hanging herself. She said it even when she was being arrested. She said, I can't wait. I can't wait to go to trial. I can't wait to sue you. She was ready. She was ready to fight. They murdered that woman, and ain't nobody paid for it yet. Sandra Bland was murdered. Sheila Abdus-Salam, I do believe, was murdered also. Say what you want to say. But I think these people, it's a hit. out on black judges right now. This ain't no conspiracy thing in my mind. In my mind, this is what's happening, man. Wake up. Hey, man, if I'm being paranoid, it's better to be paranoid and cautious than it is to be relaxed and dead. You dig what I'm saying? And also this, think about this too, y'all. This was a black woman. She was black. She was a Muslim. And she was pro-LGBT. Think about that. That's a lot of enemies, man. How you just wander off into the Hudson River and drown? Oh, and that's another thing. You know, suicide by drowning is very rare, which makes her suicide even less likely. It's very rare that somebody is going to commit suicide by drowning. I do not believe it. I think they need to investigate it further. It needs to be investigated by outside. It needs to be investigated by outside influences, people who have influence from the outside. Because, man, y'all know how it go, man. They stick to the code. And it's a blue wall of silence out there. And, man, I don't know what they doing, man, but I know that you got a couple of black judges that got turned up dead in the last 2-3 days. And when you never had that situation before in history. And when you think about all the things that's going on right now with having a moron as the president, you having a guy who's a secretary, the press secretary, who is a moron. You have the FBI, from the FBI to the, who is it? What's his name? The other guy, the vice president. His plane land crooked. He got a sketchy past. Man, all this stuff going on with Syria and Korea, Syria and North Korea, South Korea, Donald Trump being in cahoots with Russia. Man, don't be surprised if all this stuff is intertangled. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. I'm telling you, there's something going on, man. Y'all don't sleep on this. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell you who I blame. Some people say, well, you know, the husband probably had something to do with it, you know, look, follow the money. Okay, check it out. Yeah, you should check that out, you know, we never know. But I blame Donald Trump. Why I blame Donald Trump? Why do I blame Donald Trump? Shit, I don't know, I just blame Donald Trump. That's how they did with Obama, huh? They blamed Obama for every damn thing. If they were late for work, they blamed Obama. If their coffee was too hot, they blamed Obama. So I blame Trump. No more talk.